The newly appointed U.S. Secretary of Defense has shaken long-standing doctrines about secrecy and maintaining morale, encapsulated in slogans like America First. However, he candidly stated that the U.S. is actually a decade behind China. His first declaration was stark. The United States is no longer strong and must regain its strength. He emphasized the critical importance of hypersonic missiles, explaining that these weapons could destroy all American aircraft carriers within 20 minutes. According to him, this makes the use of nuclear weapons irrelevant, as the destruction of aircraft carriers, the backbone of U.S. global military power, would occur in the very first minutes of a war. He warned that a war with China is unpredictable and for the U.S., unwinnable under current circumstances. This was his first crucial point. His second, even more significant point is the need to overcome what he termed false bureaucracy. The secretary, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, is deeply familiar with how the U.S. military operates. He made a startling observation. In every new war, the U.S. lags behind its adversaries technologically by a decade. He argued that America's delayed adaptations render its current strategies outdated, leaving it perpetually a step behind adversaries like China and others. He criticized the bureaucratic system within the U.S. military, calling it deceptive. According to him, China's ambitions are not limited to regional dominance but encompass global control, including Taiwan, which he described as critical for its technological leverage over industries like automobiles. He acknowledged that China's dominance is driven by its technological advancements, whereas America is falling behind due to its military bureaucracy and outdated systems. The secretary proposed a shift. The United States should pivot away from a purely military approach and focus on rebuilding its economic strength. He argued that America's military failures against Russia and now facing China prove the need for a new strategy. This approach involves dismantling bureaucratic inefficiencies and relying on the economic and technological innovations of private leaders like Elon Musk. By investing in cutting-edge technologies such as space exploration, the United States could potentially recover from its current technological gap. He underscored the importance of transitioning to private sector-driven solutions, as the military's current approach has consistently failed. He highlighted the hypersonic missile as a decisive game-changer which not only challenges United States military dominance, but also raises serious questions about Israel's ability to defend itself against adversaries like Iran, which reportedly possesses similar capabilities. In his analysis, the secretary stressed that whoever possesses hypersonic missiles coupled with nuclear capabilities wields unmatched power. He concluded that Israel, America's forward base in the Middle East, is essentially in a losing position. He suggested that Iran's possession of hypersonic missiles represents a strategic victory against both Israel and the United States, which can no longer reliably counter these advanced threats. This candid assessment was echoed in a recent book titled The War Against the Warriors, which critiques American military propaganda and exposes its limitations. The secretary pointed out that America's morale has suffered significantly, and that the nation requires a cultural and educational overhaul to rebuild its strength, a process that may take an entire century. In sum, his statements provide a sobering evaluation of the U.S.'s declining military and technological edge, highlighting the need for a radical shift in strategy to preserve its global position. The author also raises this question, framing the concept of American warfare in a distinct light. This time, instead of using the term war, he uses crusade, emphasizing a religious dimension to this conflict, one tied to the cross, not the typical war devoid of such symbolism. In his book American Crusade, published in 2020 by Center Street, he underscores this specific heritage and calls it the American spirit. In his 2022 book, he reiterates the central idea that this evolution is driven by neoconservatives who, while more pragmatic, do not rely on defensive strategies alone. Instead, they advocate for technological superiority in the military and civilian sectors alike, highlighting technology as the decisive factor in battles and beyond. Trump's call for Elon Musk's innovations aims to surpass China and Asia in technological dominance. The current American approach seeks to regain ground lost in warfare by focusing on economic and technological investment. Meanwhile, Iran appears to have emerged victorious against Israel, as evidenced by Israel's repeated failures to counter drones and advanced precision missiles, let alone hypersonic missiles. The Israeli defense systems have struggled to intercept such threats effectively, with Yemen's hypersonic launches being particularly illustrative. The U.S. Secretary of Defense acknowledged that systems like the Iron Dome and David's Sling cannot intercept hypersonic missiles launched by Iran or other adversaries, including Russia. Trump's strategy is clear: cooperate with Russia to avoid a coalition of adversaries capable of challenging the U.S. militarily and technologically. The last year has shown how American dominance has faltered, particularly in the Middle East. The recent defeats, technologically, tactically, and strategically, underscore the need for the U.S. to retreat temporarily, close ongoing conflicts, and rebuild its strength. Israel's so-called intelligence-driven victories are insufficient when countered by superior weaponry capable of downing advanced U.S. assets like the MQ-9 Reaper drone, as seen in Yemen and Iran. The U.S. Secretary of Defense has clarified how the U.S. lost to China and how Israel is losing in technological, tactical, and strategic terms. This necessitates a pause in warfare until America regains its technological edge, perhaps in a decade. At that point, the U.S. intends to reopen global conflicts from a position of strength, pursuing nuclear and total annihilation strategies reminiscent of Hiroshima if necessary. For now, the U.S. is in a phase of dormancy, maintaining its claim as the world's leading power while working to bridge the technological gap. When this is achieved, the narrative will shift dramatically, with America resuming its history of decisive, catastrophic interventions from Hiroshima to Gaza. Until then, the U.S. focuses on redeveloping the tools to reassert its global dominance. Thank you and goodbye.